Cummins launched two new 15-liter engines in July at its Four Strokes of Genius event held at the Transportation Research Center in Ohio. I'm Jim Park with today's Trucking and Heavy Duty Trucking. The first video in this series features a 2016 ISX 15 engine as a baseline for a comparison with these new engines. This video features the X15 Efficiency Series. A third video is a look at the X15 Performance Series. X15 isn't just a new name for an old engine. Cummins has made some key hardware changes for 2017 to reduce the friction between moving parts, such as the water pump, gear train, and lube system. The air handling system is optimized to help the engine breathe easier, and changes to cam profiles, the VGT turbocharger, and the XPI fuel injection system all result in improved combustion efficiency and exceptional throttle response. Cummins says the X15 efficiency version delivers about 3% better fuel economy than the 2016 engine and about 10% better than the 2012 version. Cummins had a number of trucks at the launch event equipped with the efficiency version of the X15, but there wasn't much time to really get a feel for what the engine could do. I was lucky enough to drive a beta version of the engine back in the spring and had more time to play with it then. More on that coming up, but Cummins did have a couple of tests set up to demonstrate some of the new features, including this low-speed course with a series of tight turns. Bobtailing while on and off the throttle, I found the throttle response was much smoother than previous versions of the engine. Cummins has enabled a wide variety of throttle response and engine brake performance parameters to suit different tastes and applications. When acceleration management is active, the engine spools up gently and at lower RPM for a smoother takeoff and to conserve fuel. Here's a clip we filmed earlier of the acceleration management option in action. So now we've got the 2017 ISX 15, or X15 as it's coming to be known. We're just working our way back up north, and we're going to see some acceleration at up to freeway speed coming down an on-ramp here. I've got my foot right to the floor, so maximum possible acceleration. The engine is modulating that throttle input for fuel efficiency. It's not giving me everything that the throttle position would suggest I'm looking for, but nonetheless it's getting us up to speed really fast here. And the engine RPM never climbed above about 1250, 1300 during that acceleration period. But when it's opened up, the throttle response is awesome, as is the engine brake response. It'll normally deliver about 400 braking horsepower at 1300 RPM, but a more aggressive downshift strategy will bump it up to 17 or 1800 RPM for even more stopping power. So this truck doesn't have the acceleration management on it. When I put my foot into it, I get the performance I expect, which is pretty darn strong. We come out of that turn back there at about 1100 RPM, and I just put my foot into it and away we went. Straightened out, went up to 15, made the upshift, and pretty much exactly what you'd expect. So 65 miles per hour, 1100 RPM, I took my foot off the throttle and the engine brake came on. It went up to about 1200, stayed there for a couple of seconds, then popped another downshift to give me some more engine brake. That took us up to about 1700, now we're down to about 12. There's another downshift up to about 17. This is going to bring us all the way down about 5 miles per hour. And it's a lot more aggressive than the other one. Quicker upshifts, revs aren't falling quite as low, and she's really getting on the stopping power there. Just about a complete stop here now. Never touched the brake all the way through there. So theoretically, in a non-threatening situation, you may never have to use your service brakes. The X15 boasts a very sophisticated suite of engine management features called ADEPT. That stands for Advanced Dynamic Efficient Powertrain Technology. ADEPT is part of the Eaton Cummins Smart Advantage powertrain spec, but it will work just as well with any automated manual transmission. The full suite includes Smart Torque 2, Smart Coast, and Predictive Cruise. Predictive Cruise has preloaded terrain maps. It views the road ahead about 2 miles and modifies both the fueling rate and the road speed limit to take advantage of the vehicle momentum. Smart Coast neutralizes the front section of the transmission while the back section remains engaged to spin the oil pump. The clutch stays closed, so it's not really coasting in neutral. Idling the engine while coasting reduces fuel consumption, while disengaging the driveline helps conserve vehicle momentum, letting the truck coast further up the next hill before more fuel is needed. So as we come to the top of this hill now, we'll see the engine start to dip a little bit. The RPMs are dropping. We're at 1100 now and 60 miles an hour even. And just as we start going over the top, you can hear the throttle backing off. So less fuel going into the engine now, practically none, I would say, at idle, practically. And as we start rolling down the other side, it drops out of gear. So now we're basically rolling along free, gravity and momentum keeping us moving here. We're idling just above 500 RPM right now. You see the instant mile per gallon is 119.9. That'd be great. Anyway, just cut back in. We're back up to speed under power, 64 miles an hour. About 1175, 1180 RPM. Allowing the engine revs to drop to 500 RPM shows how Cummins has improved the transient response of the engine. Previously, 650 RPM was the lower limit, as it is at normal idle. Engineers had to be certain that the engine could rev up and get back into gear quickly enough in an emergency situation. The near-instant response from the new VGT turbo sees to that. So now we're back in the truck I was driving in February. This is like part 2 of the 2017 X15 series. We're pulling out onto the oval track here. The truck won't be performing any tricks for us, but you get a sense of how it drives anyway. You know, one of the things I noted back in February was the fact that the engine felt peppier, a little bit, I don't know, torquier is the word, but certainly tighter, distinctly different feel to it. I mean, this is a brand new engine for 2017 and by all accounts much more fuel efficient than the previous version. So along with that tighter feel to the engine and snappier performance, really good cruising speed, and pretty quiet engine, to be honest. I mean, I'm talking normal tone of voice. Everybody in the cab can hear me just fine. You know, part of that's ProStar, obviously, but the engine has a lot to do with that. Temperature out here today is darn close to 100 degrees. The air conditioner's on in the truck, and it's worth noting that the engine fan is not on. One of the major sources of noise and horsepower draw. On a day like this, you'd expect that fan to be on quite a bit, but it is not today. In fact, the engine temperature is a little below 180, which I think demonstrates the effectiveness of the cooling system. So there's a 10,000-foot overview of the efficiency version of the Cummins X15 for 2017. Cummins has engineered a number of fuel-saving strategies into this engine that'll cut fleet fuel costs. Many of them are standard equipment too, so you won't be paying extra for the added benefit. Performance is enhanced rather than humbled by these fuel-saving features. If you liked previous versions of the ISX engine, the X15 is really going to look good on your balance sheet and out on the road. For Heavy Duty Trucking and Today's Trucking, I'm Jim Park at the launch of the Cummins 2017 X15 engine at the Transportation Research Center in East Liberty, Ohio.